Welcome to today's explainer. Let's dive right in, shall we? Today we're actually cracking open the pages of a deeply personal, super fascinating gardening diary. We're looking at a specific entry by a gardener named Ang, and it's simply titled, "The Golden Bloom of the Yellow Alder." You know, what's truly wonderful about poking around in someone's personal notes like this is that we get to see the world completely through their eyes. In this case, we're tracing this really beautiful journey of quiet patience that leads to a sudden, amazing botanical discovery. I mean, just listen to Ang's own words, because they perfectly capture the sheer visual impact of our subject today. Just look at those vibrant yellow flowers contrasting against the waxy foliage. I want you to really picture that for a second. Imagine the deep, rich texture of those glossy, waxy green leaves acting as this perfect, dramatic backdrop for an absolute explosion of bright, golden yellow petals. It's a sensory experience that literally leaps right off the page of the diary. You can almost feel the warmth of the sun that this flower just seems to capture in its bloom. This isn't just some casual observation, right? It's this wistful moment of absolute awe from a gardener standing right in front of a living masterpiece.
Okay, so what exactly is this stunning specimen? Well, the plant Ang is so utterly captivated by is scientifically known as turnera-ulmifolia. But in everyday gardens, you're much more likely to hear it called the yellow alder, or sometimes, and I think this is quite poetic, the sage rose. Rooting these emotional observations in the actual facts just helps us appreciate the whole thing even more. So whether you want to call it the yellow alder or the sage rose, we are talking about a remarkably distinct plant that absolutely commands your attention the second you lay eyes on it.
Now, tracing Ang's relationship with this plant reveals a really fascinating timeline. It wasn't just a passing glance, not at all. It's an entire micro-journey spanning across hundreds of diary entries. Look at this progression. Way back in the past, in entry part 755, Ang first spots the yellow alder. A literal seed of curiosity is planted. Then, we fast forward to May 30, 2026. This is entry part 910. The wait is finally over. Ang encounters the sage rose at its absolute undeniable peak. You can literally feel the emotional excitement buzzing in the text. After waiting and watching for so long, there it is in all its golden glory. And looking to the future, this whole encounter sparks a deep desire for further exploration. It's just a beautiful reminder of how nature repays those who actually stop to pay attention.
But here is where our story takes a somewhat bittersweet turn. The entire lifespan of these breathtaking yellow blooms comes down to exactly one. Just a single, solitary day. Ang actually notes this with a real sense of pity, having read about this fleeting nature before finally witnessing it in person. I mean, imagine waiting all that time since entry 755, right? Finally seeing it at its absolute peak, only to realize that this magnificent display is going to completely vanish by tomorrow. It's a dramatic realization for sure. The flower gives absolutely everything it has to the world, but it only does so for a brief 24-hour window.
And that brings us to the fascinating duality of the yellow alder. We've just seen the tragedy of its fleeting bloom, a beauty that lasts for just a single day. But beneath the surface lies its practical triumph. It is an incredibly hardy plant that requires almost no maintenance. It's a true survivor. It doesn't need constant pampering or perfect conditions to thrive. This contrast is just incredible to me. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a paradox. The very same plant that offers such delicate, temporary beauty is built like a botanical tank beneath the surface.
And it's exactly that hardiness that inspires Ang to take action. Ang isn't just going to admire the yellow alder for a day and walk away. No way. The diary outlines a clear, ambitious three-step process for down the road. Step 1, grab specimens when the chance arises. Step 2, evaluate them closely, really studying how they grow and react in a new environment. And Step 3, propagate. Because the plant is so incredibly tough and low maintenance, it practically begs to be cultivated and shared. Ang sees well beyond that one-day flower and recognizes the immense practical value of bringing this resilient survivor into a permanent gardening space.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating question to consider for ourselves. The yellow alder's beauty lasts only a day, but its hardiness endures. So is this fleeting bloom worth propagating in your own garden? It really makes you think about what we value when we nurture living things. Do we plant for enduring, static displays, or do we embrace the ephemeral magic of a flower that demands you appreciate it right here, right now, before it's gone? It's a profound question of your own personal gardening philosophy. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I genuinely hope this peek into Ang's diary has you looking at the blooms outside your own window just a little bit differently today.